Welcome, everyone, to the Doctoral Career Pathways Conference. I'm Angie Lira, the Associate Director of Digital Products and Services, and I'm going to be moderating the conference sessions today. I want to thank you for joining us. We are coming to you from the Minneapolis, Minnesota office of Walden University. And throughout the program, we're going to be joined by the Walden Career Services Center team, Dina Berggren, Denise Pranke, and Katie Pieper. Now, it's never too early to start exploring potential pathways, so let's get started. I'm going to hand it over to Denise Pranke, who's going to be leading our first session.
Thanks, Angie, and hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you all are able to join us for the conference. During this session, we will introduce 6 common career pathways for doctoral students and share 6 career tools for further exploration. Our goal is to spark ideas and expand your thinking about potential career options. From our years of working with Walden doctoral students, we've seen career aspirations change and expand as students delve deeper into their studies, interact with faculty and peers, and contemplate Walden's mission of positive social change. We hope this session will offer you some structure for your exploration. The 6 broad career pathways that we're going to cover are organizational leadership and development, policy and advocacy, consulting, communications, writing and editing, research and data analysis, and higher education. As we discuss these career paths, keep in mind that there's considerable overlap between them. So, for example, a position in policy and advocacy will likely involve research, data analysis, communications, and writing. We purposefully did not organize this session around career options for specific degree programs. Because, for example, someone with a PhD in psychology or education or management may be interested in working in consulting or research or any of the other pathways. I also want to add that some of you may be pursuing doctoral degrees in clinical work or patient care. You may be engaged in activities related to the 6 pathways. However, if you're pursuing a practice doctorate, such as the Doctor of Nursing Practice, Doctor of Social Work, or PhD in Clinical Psychology, please be sure to look into licensure and certifications for your field and work with your faculty and program leadership to learn more about the specific requirements to reach your career goals. In this session, we'll be focusing on these 6 general career pathways that may apply across the degree areas. So next, Angie is going to launch a poll so we can learn more about your interests.
All right, everyone, we're going to launch today's poll. Which career pathways interest you most? So please select one: organizational leadership and development, policy, advocacy, or consulting, higher education, communications, writing and editing, or research and data analysis. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to choose which doctoral career pathway interests you the most. All right, a little over half the room has voted. I'm going to give you just a moment more. Alrighty, just waiting for those last few people to enter their response on which career pathway interests you the most. All right, we're going to close our poll in just a moment here. Okay, so winning the poll is higher education at 29%. Very closely followed by policy, advocacy, or consulting and organizational leadership and development, both with 28%. Finally, then we have research and data analysis at 13%, and communications, writing, and editing with 3%. Thank you so much for participating in our poll. Back to you, Denise.
Thanks, Angie. So let's continue on. So as you reflect on which career path interests you most, think of the knowledge and skills you're gaining in your doctoral program that relate to that career path, such as expertise in your field, research and writing skills, analytical and critical thinking skills, technology, problem solving, and project management. These skills are relevant across the career pathways that we're looking at. Can you think of any additional skills that you're gaining in your program that are transferable across the pathways? Please use the question feature to share your ideas. Oh, so thank you. Leadership and management, finances, communication skills, definitely. Collaboration, leadership. Yes, many of you are saying leadership. So someone asked for me to repeat the question. So what additional skills are you learning in your program that really are transferable across the different pathways? So many of you are saying leadership, organizational skills for sure. Completing a doctoral program, you definitely have to have the good organizational skills. Analytical skills, again, kind of how things are interrelated. Yeah, thank you all. Definitely the critical thinking. So educational leadership, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So there are a number of skills that are just transferable across these areas. So as you look at the 6 pathways, keep in mind that you will typically only see a doctoral degree listed as a requirement in job descriptions for higher ed teaching and leadership roles and for research positions. However, having a doctoral degree is a competitive career advantage and will allow you to contribute at a higher level. So next, let's take a closer look at these 6 career paths. If you see yourself setting organizational goals and strategies, guiding organizations through change, enhancing performance, solving problems, and being the decision maker, then you may be interested in a career in organizational leadership and development. Those of you with experience in your field may be ready to move directly into a higher level leadership role. Those of you who are transitioning into an entirely new field may need to start at a lower level leadership role or possibly even an entry-level position with the goal to advance quickly. Potential employers include large and small businesses and corporations, government agencies, educational institutions, and nonprofit organizations. For each of the pathways, we're going to share some common search terms to prompt you to start exploring job descriptions and requirements. For organizational leadership and development, use a variety of terms, such as those listed. For example, director of or leadership roles in, and fill in the blank with your area of interest, such as director of business development, performance management, or nonprofit management, among many others. Don't wait until you're in a job search to explore the requirements for the career path that you are most interested in. Start looking early so you can plan to fill any gaps that you may have, and ideally consult with your faculty members on choosing a capstone project related to your career interests, if possible. So next, if you see yourself examining the impact of current policies and collaboratively updating and writing new policies, conducting reviews of current research and literature, and writing and speaking publicly to inform, persuade, and advocate for change, then you may be interested in a career in policy and advocacy work. Experts in policy and advocacy are needed in almost every field, including healthcare, education, business, criminal justice, human rights, social services, and many others. Policy work often requires the ability to see both the big picture and the minute details related to an issue. And I think someone mentioned that earlier in terms of other skills that you were gaining in your program was that ability to see how things are interrelated. So that's definitely a skill needed in policy work. So potential employers include national, state, and local government agencies, non-government organizations, commonly referred to as NGOs, nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, corporations, and policy research institutes or think tanks. Job search descriptions, when you are searching for jobs, you can use terms such as policy analyst, policy administrator, regulatory and compliance analyst, or advocate or community organizer for advocacy work. And next, if you see yourself guiding organizations on developing strategies and solving problems, managing change, researching and analyzing data, customizing education and training programs, and implementing new technologies, then you may be interested in a career in consulting. Consultants either work independently or for a consulting firm, and travel is often required. If you work as an independent consultant, you should be prepared for variations in your income. You may have times when you're really busy and your income is high, and then slow times when your income is much lower. So you'll also need a marketing plan to market your skills. So select search terms include consultant or consulting jobs. Also search by specific fields. For example, consulting in education, healthcare, management, human resources, among others. And next, if you see yourself writing content for a variety of audiences, including audiences on social media, or editing content created by others, or designing communication strategies, or speaking publicly, then a career in communications writing and editing may be for you. Potential employers include government agencies, again, corporations, nonprofits, educational institutions, and self-employment as a freelance writer. Select search terms include writing jobs, technical writer, freelance writer, grant writer, which is in pretty high demand, editor, public relations manager, social media specialist, copywriter, communications director, and others. Also, program evaluation can involve extensive writing as well. If you're interested in becoming a freelance writer, you'll have flexibility, but be prepared to market your skills and plan for fluctuations in your income. Freelance writers often start out by writing on the side as a second or third stream of income. If you're planning a career in writing outside of academia, it's also important that you gain expertise in adjusting your writing style for a variety of audiences. And next, if you see yourself reviewing current research, designing, planning, and implementing research projects, organizing, analyzing, and summarizing data, and making recommendations based on the results, and writing articles for publication, then a career in research and data analysis may interest you. Keep in mind that research positions also often involve writing grants. Potential employers include national, state, and local government agencies, NGOs, nonprofit corporations, research institutes, and universities. Select search terms for jobs in research include research associate, research analyst, among others. Also search by specific areas of interest, such as healthcare research jobs or education research jobs. Select search terms for jobs in data analysis include data analyst, data scientist, quality analyst, or business intelligence analyst. So next, let's look at our sixth pathway that I know many of you are interested in from the poll, higher education. If you see yourself contributing to student success through an administrative or leadership role, developing and evaluating educational programs, or teaching students in a face-to-face, blended, or online environment, then you may be interested in a career in higher education. What typically comes to mind when thinking of a career in higher ed is a faculty position. But there are many other opportunities that use doctoral level skills. For example, there are leadership and administrative positions in admissions, financial aid, the registrar's office, academic support, student affairs, alumni relations, fundraising and development, military services, to name just a few of the many possibilities. Potential employers include community colleges, technical colleges, universities, and government agencies that focus on higher education services and policies. Select search terms include higher education administration and leadership jobs, or search by specific areas such as jobs in higher education student affairs. To search for faculty positions, search faculty jobs or higher education teaching jobs. Part-time teaching roles are often referred to as adjunct, contributing, or contingent faculty positions. Keep in mind that full-time faculty positions at a university are highly competitive and often require that you have experience presenting at conferences and publishing in peer-reviewed journals. So next, let's look at some strategies to help you reach your goals. First, understand your own strengths, interests, and values. Once you decide on a career path, leverage your academic work to become a subject matter expert in an area that is relevant to that path. And as I mentioned before, work with your faculty members on the possibility of choosing a capstone topic related to your career goals. Data analysis is a skill in high demand and used across the pathways. So broaden your research and data analysis skills. Your ability to understand current research and the implications for best practices will enhance your marketability. Become proficient in the technology related to your field, such as data analytics software. Consult with your faculty members and peruse job descriptions for key qualifications before you're in an active job search, so you have time to fill any gaps. Your writing skills will also be used across the pathways, so consider taking an academic skills center writing course if you feel you have room to improve in this area, or if you want a career that involves extensive writing. And here are some additional strategies that apply across the pathways. So develop your public speaking and presentation skills. Explore opportunities to publish your research. Gain leadership experience by pursuing paid or volunteer leadership roles and activities in your current place of employment or a community organization. And one of the most important efforts you can make is to expand your professional network. Decide which strategies are a priority for you and are manageable with all of your other commitments. Keep in mind that taking small incremental steps early can have a big impact down the road. Also, over the next 3 sessions, you will have the opportunity to hear from 6 Walden doctoral students and alumni on the strategies that they used to launch their career related to these 6 paths. And in the second session, you'll hear more specifics about how to gain experience. So next, we covered a lot of ground during the session so far. We could probably spend an entire hour on any one of the pathways alone, but our intention for this conference is to generate a wide range of career paths for you to consider. So as we start to wrap up this first session, let's look at 6 tools for further exploration. Imagine PhD is a career planning tool specifically designed for doctoral students and alumni. This tool will help you assess your career-related skills, interests, values, and explore career paths. ONET pulls information from the U.S. Department of Labor on approximately 1,000 job categories, including information on work activities, future outlook, and requirements. If you're looking for insider tips on companies and jobs, Glassdoor is a database of anonymously posted information, including company reviews, salaries, and benefits. LinkedIn is the largest professional online network with over 600 million users in over 200 countries. So you can connect with other professionals and join groups related to your career interests. Recruiters search for talent on LinkedIn, so keep your profile up to date with specific information on your skills and accomplishments. Career One Stop is a site with data on hiring trends, a professional association search tool, and licensure and certification information, among other resources. And finally, Walden Career Services doctoral resources on the Career Services website includes a curriculum vitae guide, a link to sample CVs, and an academic signature guide. So next, we'd like to ask you, what career exploration tools have you used in the past to research careers? So if you could please use the question feature to share your ideas. You know, what tools have you used? So higheredjobs.com, great. LinkedIn, great. And you've used Glassdoor, a number of you. Higher Ed Jobs, many of you are saying LinkedIn, Facebook, Indeed.com, yes. Blue Steps, many of you are saying Indeed. You've used ONET, Higher Ed, Idealist. Idealist is a great site. Thank you so much for sharing. And Google, just simply Googling a job is a great way to just get started. You know, just start looking at the job. Simply Hired. Many of you are saying highered.com. The Chronicle of Higher Ed is also a great resource. Chronicle of Philanthropy, Upworks, and career connections, Virginia Recruit. So some of you are in specific states where you have state like job boards or state resources. That's great. Yes, and some of you are asking questions. Yes, please use the question box. And unfortunately, in this format, you're not going to be able to see what everyone else is contributing. So I'm trying to get as many as I can. So Florida jobs, another like a state database. Oh, and Ohio Association of Nonprofit Organizations. Often states will have a list of nonprofit organizations in their state. And meetup groups is another great way to go about really connecting and building your network, and absolutely, and getting inside information, and sometimes learning about job opportunities before they're even posted anywhere. So I hire biotechnology. So there are specific job boards to, in specific fields. Oh, veteran careers, thank you. Workforce development. Business councils. A question, do we need to use Facebook? No, that's a personal choice of yours. So professional organizations, such as professional nursing organizations, USA Jobs, yes, great. USAjobs.gov, absolutely, so thank you so much. And another one is Adjunct World. So there are specific job sites for adjunct positions. And we have on the Career Services website, under the Resources tab, in By College, in Education, we have a list of some specific job search sites that post higher education positions. But as some of you mentioned, simply Googling what you're looking for is also a great way to just gain some experience. And Virtual Connect. Oh, I thank you so much for sharing so many great ideas. And careerbuilder.com. I think that's not as used as often, but it is a good one as well. I think Indeed.com, somebody mentioned Idealist, is a great site as well. And we have other resources on the Career Services website. If you're interested in international positions, we have Going Global. So we, check out the resources on the Career Services website as well. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. That is fantastic. And again, I'd like to remind you that you will have access to the supplemental materials in the handout section on your GoToWebinar control panel. So there are some handouts there that Angie mentioned. And next, before I turn it over to Angie to moderate your questions, I want to add that I recently spoke with a doctoral student who said that he decided to pursue his degree because he wanted to look at problems in his field at a deeper level and find solutions. I'm sure that is true of many of you. Your doctoral degree is preparing you to look deeper, expand knowledge, and contribute at a higher level. So reflect on the pathways presented here and explore how you want to use your doctoral level knowledge and skills. I'll now turn it over to Angie to moderate your questions.
All right, thank you, Denise. And we have a lot of great questions rolling in. One that I want to address right away is that when you're using the question tool, you can type in information and we can see it and read it out for you, but you're not going to be able to see what the other attendees have written in that question box. So it's not quite like a chat box, it is a question box. But to start out, Shauna, Meredith, and a few other students had a question about networking. And their question is, what are some good ways to start networking in your field? And can you give us an example?
Yes. one of the most important ways would be to join a professional association, and when related to your career field, and look to see if there's a local chapter, so you can join that chapter. Often students will join like the national or international association, but they're, it's expensive sometimes to go to those conferences. So also look for a local chapter so you can do face-to-face networking. Often there will be a conference. It is probably one of the best ways to do that face-to-face networking. Someone just shared like SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management. They have they're very active for professionals in human resources. So there are many others, and on those tools that I shared, the Career One Stop has a professional association finder, so you can explore, use that tool to find professional associations, and just simply Google as well. And most professional associations are very welcoming to new people. There's a conference that typically you can go to, maybe an annual conference, where you can meet a lot of other people. For example, I belong to both the National Career Development Association and the Minnesota chapter of the Career Development Association, and I will annually go to their conference, and I get to meet a lot of other career professionals, learn from them during that conference, and also share things that we're doing here at Walden University's Career Services Center. So that's one excellent way. I'll also add, if you're currently a student, look for a student rate, because there is a cost to join a professional association, and the costs vary widely. So look to see if there's if they have a student rate as well. So that's one way. Networking. LinkedIn is also another excellent way. You want to make sure that on LinkedIn you belong to groups and that your profile is up to date. And I know I've heard stories of people who've reached out professionally on LinkedIn, and they've met people, they've asked for informational interviews. I know I worked with a student who reached out to the head or a director of a public health department, and that person really followed up, and she ended up with a job because she reached out on LinkedIn. So, LinkedIn is another great area. Someone mentioned meetup groups as well. Is another great way to network. And then, of course, at your Walden residencies and within your Walden classrooms as well. Sometimes, you can even call and chat, but the residencies really take advantage when you're there and think, okay, I want to meet people, and meet people across programs as well, because some of you, if you're in PhD in public policy and administration, there's a lot of interesting things going on in the other degree areas around policy. So really reach out and, talk to faculty, meet with other people. Don't eat alone when you're at those residencies. And so those are some ideas. That's a great question, because networking is one of the most important things that you can do professionally. And everyone listening to this should take a deep breath and have some kind of professional networking strategy. Any other questions, Angie?
Yes, Nalu Mango, Elizabeth, and Bill all had questions about using their degree to help them change careers, and the challenge of gaining experience when you're transitioning to a new career field, because you need that experience to get a job, but it's hard to get experience without a job. So what are some other ways that you can gain experience in a new career field?
Okay, thanks. Another great question. And I know that a lot of Walden students are making a major career transition with their doctoral degree. So one of the common ways that we will hear or advise students is through volunteer work. And I know someone just shared that in the question feature as well. And so sometimes you think, we think of volunteer work as more like maybe helping sorting food on a food shelf, but there are many really highly skilled volunteer positions. And we call it skills-based volunteering. And so, I would definitely look into that. Find an organization where you feel it's really a good match for your values and that you feel comfortable contributing. There are community organizations. You can gain a lot of leadership skills through volunteering. What you want to do is, though, be strategic about it. Think about the experience you want to gain and then start having conversations, reaching out to organizations and looking for the right volunteer type of positions. That's one way. Sometimes some of you mentioned, higher ed. You can, if you have expertise that you can, if you're interested in teaching, where you might reach out to an instructor, maybe teaching a course in community ed, and you can say, I wrote my dissertation on this topic. I would be willing to come in, or I would love to come in and give a 15-minute presentation on this and answer questions. Look for those opportunities to give presentations, present at conferences as well. Talk to your faculty member about maybe turning your dissertation into a publication. Those are all, and I know in the next session, we're going to delve much more deeply into how to gain experience. But those are some ideas to get you started.
Excellent. And for our last question, Marcia had a really great question. She said, Career Services has so many good resources on their website and things that they provide for students and alumni. Could you recommend just one or two that are your favorite?
Oh, wow. That's, I think one of them would be in the 15-minute tutorials. We have a video on marketing your qualifications through resumes and cover letters. So that's one that I often refer students to. And I know many of you will want to have a CV, but there's so much overlap between the resume and the CV that one will really help you highlight and showcase your qualifications on your resume and your CV. Sometimes I will work with students and they will say, I don't want to be too specific on my CV or on my resume because I want to keep my options open, but really you want a different strategy. You really want to be specific about your qualifications, concise but specific. So that is one. The other one that you might be interested in is we have an archive webinar on developing your academic CV in the archive webinars. And then I think one area that I often will take doctoral students is the area that I mentioned on the slide with the tools is on the Career Services website under the Resources tab in the doctoral resources area. There are just so many resources there that I think you'll find helpful. So those are a few. So that's a great questions. Really appreciate the questions.
Yes, and I want to thank everyone for their questions. Now, before we take a break, we did want to share some career advice from Walden faculty. Excellent. Okay, so at the last National Faculty Meeting, we asked faculty the following question. What advice would you give students and alumni exploring doctoral career paths? And here are just a few of their responses. Start thinking ahead when you start your doctoral journey. Set short and long-term goals that you intend to reach each year toward your overall goal. Conduct informational interviews and volunteering. Take advantage of internships and networking. Do informational interviews and be your own advocate. Network, present conference papers, network, and networks more. So that's a good one. And finally, my personal favorite, use career services. So in these next 3 sessions, we will be expanding on this advice and much more. Just a reminder, this conference is being recorded and it's going to be available on our website within 2 weeks along with the PowerPoints. Now we're going to take a short break and we will start the next session at the top of the hour. We will see you soon.